was gonna do something a little weirder today.
Well, what happened to that photorealistic model I've been pounding you to make? What's the deal?
Oh, I don't know. I was working on it before. What do you? Get off my case!
No,
I,
do it. Do it.
I was I was gonna do. Let's see. I can look at that. I don't know. I haven't looked at it again, but it wasn't turning out quite what I wanted. But I know why. Cause I'm
What are you talking about now?
a stupid head.
Oh.
No, I was. Let's see.
Well, what I'm doing right now is I'm just prepping some files to do some coloring. I did these character designs a month or so ago, and I have to actually, color them
Looks
up.
like a.
The lines and stuff have already gone through the modeler, so everything's being modeled um, as we speak, or it might even be finished, which is pretty cool. I'm looking forward to seeing the miniatures made, but I have to. I'm just setting up the file, getting things ready. I don't know if I'm going to work on these right now. I have to. I got a lot on my plate, especially with con season coming up. I've got a lot of things to do with prints, and, just merch and organization, and it takes a lot of time. The deadline. I want to get a piece into the art show, and the deadline for that is March 3rd. And I've got a bunch of client work that's backing up this being a short month, and then this week being a short week. It just everything snowballs at the end, right? So 2 weeks ago, I got myself my arms started to cramp up. Have you ever got like just your arms wearing out on you working on the computer?
I get sometimes I get like a sore shoulder or something, but no, not really. Oh, I've had my hand be really sore, but
Yeah. Well, this is kind of like I thought I was
this
getting
isn't
carpal
what I was
tunnel
doing.
on
Yeah.
my hands, and basically about 2 weeks ago, my arms just cramped up on me. Like the shoulder, like not my shoulders, but just my forearms and everything just got painful. Like it just hurt,
Hmm.
and they cramp up. And I mean, part of it is I'm gripping my hand, like I grip my pen real tight, and I press really hard on my shin teeth. And your hands are constantly in a stress position
Hmm.
all day, right? So I had a big deadline for the 9th, and I've been working stupid long hours to get everything finished on time. And finally, after the deadline, my body just kind of conked out on me, and my forearms hurt so much. Plus, I'm carrying a baby around, me and
Yeah.
that just really chews up your arm strength, right? So, anyways, my forearms and my hands and everything, I just got so sore. I got pretty scared that maybe I'm getting carpal tunnel, because it hurt, like it hurt to do anything. And I tried different braces, and anyways, this week I went and saw some doctors and got a brace and everything, but it turns out I just have a stress injury.
Hmm.
Like what was the term? I forget the term he used. Repetitive stress injury, I think, is what it's called. So, anyways, my arms are just bagged from just too much work. So, I'm trying to pace myself, and here I am working at 8 o'clock at night. But
Yeah.
I've got all these deadlines to do, and I got things that need to get done, and you got to pay the bills. It's weird though. It definitely messes with gets you thinking. What's important when you got to get done, and
Oh,
makes you
yeah.
take breaks, and I don't know. I'm kind of being, random thoughts right now, but that's what's going on in my world.
I haven't had that in quite a long time. It was when I was doing a lot of the advertising stuff. I would get that a fair bit. And sometimes working on the router too, like depending on what you're doing, if you're doing very repetitive things, but then that tend to be like back. I'll get back issues, and not so much because I wasn't doing a lot of drawing or sculpting or anything. So
Yeah. Well, what I find is we end up, you just keep doing the same motion, and you work on a computer, you don't move. Your body doesn't move, right? Or time, you look up and, oh my God, 2.5 hours just passed. What have I been doing this whole time? That kind of stuff. That's what's been happening with me. Or it's just a matter of, okay, I know it's late, but I got a deadline, so too bad, and you just keep going. And yeah, it is what it is. I'm trying to come up with better ways to work, change my workflow, and change my habits, and adjust the pressure settings on my Cintiq. They haven't made much of a difference, but a little bit. And these types of things. These are things. I was thinking about content for our show. Having a little bit more direction with our conversation, just even for the simple fact that it would make more sense in the description for the episode description. This is what we talked about today.
Yeah.
But if we talk about certain, if anyone who'd be interested in listening to what we have to say would probably be interested. Okay, this is what working professionals go through. This is what they talk about. This is this kind of thing, right? To provide content, like stuff like, okay, your body wears out. This is how you deal with it.
Yeah.
Or,
well, and then like stuff like me getting, I had back issues or whatever, had like lower back pain and stuff. But I noticed when I was working like sign shop stuff, if I was standing a lot, I would get sore feet and things, but it would go away. So now with me, like I'm standing up right now, always standing up, and then I get a bit of sore feet and knees, but then you kind of just wiggle around and it goes away. I don't get the sore back, like very, very rarely. Shoulders and stuff, but I would get that sitting down or standing up, so kind of doesn't matter.
I get the.
I've forgotten where tools are here.
I made my workstation a stand-up workstation as well.
Oh, do you?
I just sit on a stool. I don't,
That's all right.
I try to tell myself to stand, but I find for the act of rendering, you're sitting here and you're like, this type of thing, maybe standing would probably be fine for what I'm doing right now. I'm just cleaning up a drawing and prepping it. But the act of rendering, it just doesn't work for me standing up, right? I find when you paint digitally, you zoom in far more than you ever would in real life if you were painting traditionally, and that kind of, I think, dictates a lot of your body posture, or at least it affects me, right? Like I never painted traditionally and punched over the canvas so much, and you're not able to zoom in on a limited amount and things like that, right? So, I'm struggling with, not struggling, but I'm still finding a balance with my work as to how far I should zoom in, and some guys, I put a limit on themselves as to how far they want to zoom in, but it's a workflow thing, it's a style thing, and I'm figuring out, or maybe it's going to be a work in progress, whatever. But that's what's going on there. And I was thinking, with chatting with Vince. He's worked on some pretty good jobs, and he's had some, he's worked in some pretty well-known studios. Be interesting to get a little more insight from him, with direction.
How people do their stuff, or?
Well, not even like how he did his stuff, or like, even when he was gossiping about the politics for the making of Ender's Game, right? I never did that. I didn't know about that.
No.
Some of the stuff that he picks up from working in some of the studios he's worked at, or some stories about jobs, or even if he could talk about what he's doing or how he does what he does. And I've got some stuff I wanted to run by you guys, like from a texturing standpoint, because there was, for example, last year I was offered a tryout to do a gig where it was texturing in-game models, things like houses and buildings and stuff, right? And they gave me a file with a bunch of different things on it. Anyways, they gave me a file of it, but I didn't get any direction as to what to do. Like, there wasn't any art direction. It was just make this look like it would fit in this setting, right? So, I gave a pass at it, and it was okay, but it wasn't good enough, I guess, to get the job. And so, you guys have a lot more experience with texturing. I thought maybe I'd fire over to you guys and see what you thought, or we could talk about that. Because a lot of people, when it comes to the art field, they don't train up for that kind of thing. Like, it's sexy to do concept art, it's sexy to do character design, it's sexy to do environment art, right? But for every concept artist, there's how many more jobs doing stuff like texturing, or
Right.
And
It's
a lot of guys,
the
that's what that's the
technical.
junior job. Yeah, that's the type of stuff you start off when you get on with a company. If you're a junior guy, like that Keikai Kotaki, that's how he started. Just texturing. He did that for years until he got a crack at doing concept art. So, I think it'd be interesting to talk about that kind of stuff and show some real world examples. And, try to spice it up with a little more content, and then we can spin off our conversation from there. Because it's great.
No, I was thinking I was thinking the same thing, but how much you wanna push of actual real talk and blather. I think blather would come regardless. That would just be.
We have a fair amount of banter anyways, and that's good, right? But then it gives us a bit of context to banter about. Okay, well, we're going to talk about this today, or we're going to, I could do a demo on how I'm drawing something or painting something, and then, we can ask questions and shoot the breeze and show each other, work, or I don't know, like, just, it doesn't have to be, anything special, but, we're working it out.
Yeah.
After we do this for a year, maybe we'll actually come up with something that's interesting.
Yeah. I barely know how to record the thing, so.
Yeah.
This is.
So I mean. Even our conversation today, you might not come away going, well, I don't think I want to post this, and that's fine. But yeah.
No, I never do that. I don't care. It's
Okay.
done in the ether. Send it out.
Well, yeah. Well, there's lots of little things, tips and that sort of stuff that I think would be valuable. Anybody, interesting for us to work on. Anyways, these are my thoughts. And,
Mike thoughts. Yeah.
Mike has them from time to time. Yeah. So maybe come up with some content or what have you.
Yeah. Or if you have a topic, if they have a topic they want to go on, then that's I'm sure we could riff on one topic for an hour pretty easily.
Yeah. And if we bring in guests too,
that
I was talking to
can make a big difference.
Yeah, I was talking to my buddy in Australia there, Dave, and he said he'd like to join me. Chat.
Excellent.
But if we had some context for him, that would make more sense, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's the only reason I've been slightly reluctant of bringing anybody else on is because I didn't have the whole process locked down. In a way that's easy enough for that I can tell somebody, well, here, just go to this link, and then we can, and then you don't have to do anything. You just show up. Well, and they would have to do the bare minimum of getting their stuff set up to be able to be recorded, and then if they want to record it locally and send it, they can do that too, and all that. But I just want to make it as easy as I can, and then work from there. Because
that's the best way to do it, I think, because we want to. If you're gonna get a professional in, you don't want to waste their time.
Yeah.
Right. And you want to have a plan and do your prep work.
Well, honestly, I feel bad about wasting your time sometimes. And then I don't.
Well, you should,
and then afterwards I don't.
No, it's well, this is fun. It keeps me doing something. It looks good, it keeps us relevant, and we're coming up with some good stuff. I don't know. I really, I don't know if you can see what I'm working on here, but I messed up the eyes. Like I just messed up in the order I was doing everything. So I had to come back and redo the eyes completely, because I went through it and I'm like, everything's way harder than it should be. And then I come back to it and go like, wow, because I'm being a dunce.
and it doesn't actually have to be that hard, and figure it out. But I think that kind of thing, if I were to do that and then talk about it like I am now, saying, oh, well, I realized I put the eyes in too early, but I also didn't place them properly, and I should have probably stayed in symmetry mode longer than I did, and nailed down a few more of the basic bone structure before I got into doing any kind of detail work. But that's like the classic problem, where you start getting into doing some detail stuff before you ever lock down your larger.
Well, I was talking about this. I can't remember who I was talking about this with the other day, and it's easy. Like time, it's all about time, right? How much time do you want to spend on something? What is your time like? And client time or job time, all that great stuff. And it's easy to cut corners. It takes a lot more work and discipline to make yourself do the legwork, like build up the anatomy properly, or all your roughs. Like for me, it'd be like do all my roughs, do proper research, do color studies, do lighting studies, do all that great stuff before you launch into the final illustration, right? But nowadays, with budgets and time frames, there's no time to do that, right?
Yeah.
And so you have
or rarely. Yeah.
Rarely, and so you end up having to, rush through stages. But there's certain things I found, like if I cut corners on this, or I kind of know what I want to do, but then I tell myself I'll figure it out as the image progresses. I always, instead of working it out in advance, I always spend way too much time figuring it out at the end, right? It's faster to put the time in earlier and work it out, then the painting goes by much smoother and faster and better direction. Otherwise, you spend hours just noodling over something, trying to figure it out.
Well, and this is exactly the corner I've painted myself into, but I've realized it, so then, and then that's which I guess it happens to everybody over and over. That's such a universal thing. So, but learn from my mistakes, kids.
Are you going to start all over again, or are you going to...
No, you know what? I think I might be able to salvage some of it, and if I don't, I learned, and then I could always go back into it. I was going to do, because I was working on today doing some shaders. I was going to do that, but maybe I'll do this, and then work on shaders. Shaders requires a bit more concentration. I'm doing like a node-based shader thing, so it's not really programming, but you still have to kind of focus, because there's a lot of just minutia, a lot of like math and figuring out rotating UVs. I'm building something for auto rotating some UVs. Which is
what auto-rotating UVs is.
No.
Someone who doesn't know.
Well, no, I'm working on. So I've got tiles, texture tiles that I'm laying out on a model, but I don't want them to be so uniform. So there's a few things you can do, because when they're all uniform, you see the pattern, you see the repeats, and it starts to look real grungy and nasty. So there's a few things you can do, like mixing different textures at different resolution, or at different scales, not resolutions, different scales, so that they blend at different intervals. Like imagine overlapping two pieces of cellophane, but they're not exactly the same size. So you got one drawing that's 4 pages, and then a bunch of drawings that are 1 page. The 1 page ones are all identical. You lay over this 4 pages thing, and now it makes the the identical repeats not look as repetitive. Know what I'm saying?
No,
No,
you'll
gone.
have to show me.
Yeah.
It'd be one of those things. I was going to ask you a question too before I forget. When they do, like, say you finish your model and you want to texture and paint it, I look on, say, CG Hub. It looks like when they have hair on some of these people, it looks like they paint it on or they spawn it. Like they tell the computer this is where the hair should grow when it grows. Like, is that how you do it?
Depends what you're doing. See, this would be one to run by Vince because that was like his job for ages. But it depends what you're doing. Like if you're doing snake's hair, you just make some planes and you make a hair texture or several hair textures that you kind of put onto those, and then they're semi-transparent so that you'll see different layers just by layering transparent images one over the other. But if you're doing something that's more like a movie rendered thing, then you'll probably use like some hair system from, depending on whatever renderer you're using, you'll use their hair system, and then you kind of paint a texture saying, here's the map, like this is where to put hair, this is where to put short hair, this is where to put long hair, and then you kind of comb it, and there's a whole process there. You add wind and
Oh wow.
yeah, which is nothing like if you were doing something for a game, that would be nothing you would ever do, because there's very few engines have anything that can handle that. I guess the new Tomb Raider has some dynamic hair stuff like that, but it's still pretty limited. It's not Pixar hair.
No, but it's interesting to see how people do it and what they do it for. Like, that's why I'd like to see. Like I when I go on to some of these sites, like say CG Hub, I like to check out what these guys are doing. How like some of these models look really cool. They're really well done. Some of them are probably immensely overdone for the average job, but it's pretty cool. And I noticed there's more and more jobs for that type of thing. And good character modeling is probably it's a skill set unto itself, right?
Oh yeah, and all different kinds. Like different, there are people who definitely specialize in doing human characters, and then doing people who just do creatures, and there's people who do a little bit of everything, but I don't know. I don't know what I do.
Yeah. Okay. Specialization it's one of those things. I find it an interesting subject because really, sometimes it's not necessary, sometimes it is. It's hard to tell. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You specialize. Maybe you specialize yourself too much into a corner. Other times, that's what you need to do to get your job, right? I don't know. What do you think? Specializing?
Well, I don't know. Like that doesn't. People always say, "Oh, you should, you just specialize on whatever," but that's not the way. That's not the way my brain works, and that's. You discover how you work, and specializing. Just isn't like, I kind of have to have there's got to be a technical aspect and there's got to be an artistic aspect, and I have to do them both. Like I can't separate one from the other and only do one. It doesn't work for my brain, because if I'm just doing, like, say, okay, just make this character, I can't do it without thinking about how it's going to be rigged. or how the how the UVs get laid out, or I just can't get my brain to do it. Which is, I don't think it's a bad thing. That's, and there's a lot of people who say, well, if you don't specialize, you're not going to be able to find a job, or you're not going to be able to, but there's a lot of people who they're only employable because they don't specialize, because they do a little bit of everything, and I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying, but
Yeah.
I think that there are different paths, and there's not a one size fits all, and some people, you find the way you work best, and try to maximize that because you're going to do your best work.
No, I agree. It's just an interesting subject, right? Because everyone's got a damn opinion on this up on it. And opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one. And I'm getting more and more frustrated with all these people with their hard and fast, like, ooh, like this, like this, like this. I listen to these podcasts, and I'm always shooting for the gray area, right? All this other stuff is just, I don't know. Everyone figures it out what works best for them,
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's not always right, and I find specializing tends to pigeonhole people. Like for me, I found, if I only specialized in like painting lion men or characters like this, I wouldn't be working every day. At this stage of my career, right? Like, there's just not enough work going around to do this kind of stuff. Living in Calgary, you got to be flexible to do a bunch of jobs, or else, you're not going to work, right? So flexibility makes you more marketable.
I think so.
And I think that applies to a lot of like, how many times have you read in like job applications or things, someone to take on new skills or new challenges, or or companies like, say, you hear about Pixar, where the guy who does the rendering also does modeling, like they kind of cross-pollinate. Everyone does a bit of everyone else's job, and more of a team thing. Like if someone calls in sick, well then you can pitch in and help out over there, and that makes you more valuable to the team, right? The guy's like, whoa, all I do is environments. I can't do anything else.
Plus, it makes it more fun to go to work. Like you're just, if you're like, I'll do a little bit of, you don't feel like you're just, you're not George Jetson just pushing the button every time you come and sit down. You have to use your brain, and
that's a personality thing, though, right?
Maybe some people like to push the button.
Yeah, some people just want to push buttons, and that's cool. But for me, I think I'm like you. I like to do a bit of everything. You get bored. I get bored doing the same thing over and over and over again. I want to try new things and new skills. But I understand people who just like it. Like guys who like cars. Like people who design cars, draw cars. Like they just love cars. They love industrial design. That's all they do. And that's all they want to do, and that's cool. If that's what you love, then do it. But it's not necessarily for me.
Yep.
I guess I went off on a tangent there. But this lion guy, you take a look at him.
Yep, I can see him. Yeah. He's burly.
Playing around. Yeah, I'm playing around with stuff. I'm gonna make him look real, threatening and mean and wild and crazy. But I'm thinking maybe I'm succumbing too much to. Well, one, I didn't have a plan doing him. Like, this is the design, right? I didn't really think about doing any more design to his look. Like, he's a muscly guy and Greek stuff, and he's got a circlet on his head, right? But now you see a lot of design where everyone's got like super intricate armor with, that takes you 3 hours to render one shoulder panel because there's all these different flowers on it. They over-design, or they cover. If someone's got naked skin, they cover it in tattoos just because it's too much negative space or whatever.
Right.
I caught all this affecting me right now, and I'm looking at it going, well, either I do him up looking really cool right now as is, or does he need something? What do I need to do to jazz him up even more? And I don't want to. I guess I'm asking you, what are your thoughts? He needs more, or should I just finish him as is and then add more later? Like, what do you think?
I don't know that. I don't know that his design needs more. The image looks a little static. I think it's just because of the straight front on, and it's. I don't know. Maybe just the lighting or something, but I don't know that it needs more. I don't know, you can put like a big old rock tattoo on his arm or something, but I don't think that would improve it. It would just add more focus points. I don't see that would make it any better.
Right.
Because your focus point is, well, right now it bounces back and forth between the mouth and his abs. For me, like that's which is just straight down the middle. So that's why.
Well, yeah. What I'm thinking is maybe I'll just finish rendering it and unify it all, and light and everything else, and then if it needs anything, I guess I can add on to it later. Right?
It kind of looks like it looks like card art.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in the design, like the way it's focused. You're presenting this is meant to be taken in all in one look. Like you're not.
Yeah. Well, the character, actually, what this was a rough that was rejected for another client, right?
Yeah.
So,
was it for a card?
Well, it was for a game, but it was a character that kind of like a card. It's a character that would be used as like a boss in a game. So it would have to, in like a card where you flip it over and there's the guy, right? Like this is
right.
fighting or the icon, like a load screen art or
okay, there.
selection screen kind of thing.
Yeah,
right?
like an icon. It does. It looks like an icon or character art, like where you would just see
Yeah, that's what it is.
Boom, where you read it instantly. There's no.
That's what
Okay,
that's
well.
what it was meant to be. So then what?
Then you win.
Yeah, so it worked. So the image was, it went in a different direction, and I did different illustrations of a lion guy, and then I still had so much work done on this that I said, well, fine, so I got permission to use it, and now I'm using it. I want to finish up, because I like the composition, I like the impact. Like, you look at him, like, a lion man, like, it looks cool, right? So I just want to make him look more finished and hellish, and then this is what I'd like to use for my submission to the Comic Expo, for the art book.
Right. See, that would be a good art book page. Like, it's just one page, just boom.
Yeah. That's what it's for, right? So, and all they want is something cool and weird for the show, like sci-fi, fantasy, nothing. There's no real rules this time or a specific theme. And honestly, compared to some of the artwork that's been in the book, like, I could submit it like this and probably get it in. Because some of the work is pretty bad. Not bad, just...
Yeah. Unless they listen to this show and then
yeah, they listen to this, but what the hell, and burn it down. But,
this guy's
yeah. But I some of the work in there looks the people who submitted, are Artist Alley kids that are straight out of high school, and they just threw something in, and they needed, they threw it in, right? The selection committee doesn't seem to. I don't know their parameters. It's not as. I don't feel like the competition was as steep as I thought it would be, right? To get in. I think so. It's like, hey, I got in, great. So there you go. I sound like an egomaniac if I talk. So, yeah, I'll get in, whatever. I'll just wipe my ass with it. No, it's not like that at all. It's just I don't think it's as big of an issue as I thought it was. But I still want to finish this guy and get him done. So I would like to do that. That's what I'm thinking of. Anyways, moving on for the show, I ended up buying myself a printer to make my own prints.
Oh, yeah? What kind?
An Epson. An Epson printer.
Like just a standard, like a jet guy, or a...
Yeah, it's a Stylus 3880, so it'll print as wide as 17 inches.
Okay.
Quality art prints.
Nice.
Pretty fancy one. So I ordered that, and it should be.
Well,
in a few days.
that'll help for proofs a
Oh,
lot, because you just
it'll
do
help.
bang out your own proofs, and then if you ever have to get something mass printed, you can bring that in, and
Yeah.
then
Well,
you got some evidence.
I was getting some quotes on printing, getting anything printed, right? And the cheapest I could find for an art print, the quality art print of regular like 13 by 19, sort of that size of paper, was about $14 a print. That's the cheapest I could find. And that's
Really?
for paper. Yeah, in Calgary. I went to a bunch of
That seems a bit spendier than I would expect.
No, well, talked to several places. That's the cheapest.
Yeah.
And so I have a friend who owns one of these printers, and she worked out the numbers, and she figures it costs her between $5 and $7 a print. Right.
Right.
So
For
it's double to get it printed by somebody else,
Mhm.
locally. Now, maybe I can outsource it to China or Brazil or something, but I couldn't find any place. And do I really want to go down that road at this time? So, I bit the bullet and bought myself a printer. And also, I figured too, if I sell out one print on day one, I can go home and print a bunch at night and have them ready for the next
Yeah.
day, right?
that
So,
that makes a huge difference.
yeah, like it's a 4-day show this year at the Calgary Comic Expo. So, I want to make sure I can have enough, right? Like last year I sold out of one print, and I know I could have sold more, so that's lost.
Cool. Which one?
Firefly.
Firefly one?
Yeah, the recruitment post.
Right on.
They're just cheap. They weren't cheap, but they weren't the quality art print that I want to do this year. So
Right.
It was a different quality print. And I'd like to have a variety of prints and sizes, cover all different price points, and, keep the prices fair and still maintain quality.
Hmm.
So now I have my own printer, and now I can do that.
Your one-man show.
Yeah, I still would like to get some posters made and get a book made, and I got lots of stuff that I want to do. It's just time. If I can get it done, I will. If I have enough time, I will. And that's what's going on. The Comic Expo is taking up a lot of my mental time right now.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot to organize. Like
Yeah.
seems like.
Yeah. Well, Nick and I were doing Rocket Punch for years, and we sort of had it down.
Mhm.
And
Oh, are you doing
now,
Rocket Punch
no,
again, or no?
No, it's done. So.
It's done.
Yeah, well, Nick said he wasn't really interested in doing it anymore, and we're not doing it for the expo anymore.
Oh.
And, our website, it was time to renew, and we decided not to renew it. So yeah, I guess we're done.
Oh,
Nick.
I'm sad.
Well, he still does his own stuff on the side, but he already has 2 other jobs. I
Yeah.
don't think he wants to work 3 jobs anymore. Just that's my impression. And also for me, for my business, this is the way to do it.
Yeah.
This is what I have to do for my business.
So where are you gonna be? You can be.
At the show.
Yeah, but like having a booth or artist alley booth or a.
Oh no! I got a booth. Actually, I'm right next to on kitty corner to the expo information booth.
Nice.
Right there. So it's actually a pretty good location. So that's why I gotta make sure I'm visible and I got lots of stuff to sell, because hopefully I can. There should be some traffic with all the people coming to the booth asking where the washroom is. Where's the washroom? Oh, look, a Lion Man. Let me buy that.
Yeah. Do you know anybody famous? Oh shit.
Yeah. Well, I got a call. I have to have a conference call with the guy for a convention tomorrow. He contacted me through LinkedIn and he wants to chat about his convention this year. So we'll see what that's all about. And I'm not sure how what the deal is. So I guess I shouldn't say anything until after I talk to him. But that was kind of cool.
Cool.
Fantasy convention. Interested in talking.
Where's that at?
I don't know where it is. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly how that works. So, I looked them up, but there was no address on it. So I'll.
It's just somebody's basement.
No,
It's like,
no, I just don't.
it's a
think they're-
fantasy convention.
You know what?
Oh,
I'm not
man.
going to say anything more until I
Okay,
talk to
yeah.
you.
I'm not gonna
I
make.
just-
I'm not making fun of them. It's all right.
No, no. It's just like I don't really know what to say. So I'll see. I'll listen to the whole. I'll find out more about it before
Right.
before I make an informed commentary on things. But it's pretty cool. Sounds interesting. It's nice to get a call. And,
Mm-hmm.
go to a show, and I think conventions are a good way to generate revenue for this business. You know, it's a big investment buying printers and getting things made and all that great stuff. But if you can sell, if you can sell enough to make it worth your while, then I think it can be pretty lucrative, right? I mean, there's a reason why guys travel the country and go to conventions.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think I kind of just never really thought that hard about it because
Yeah.
it was never anything that I would be other than just if I ever want to promote any games that first I got to actually get a game finished and then promote it and then
Right.
then I'm gonna have to tour around, right? So
Yeah.
we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, no, I think that's what they're gonna do, right? You'll do it. It's just, and,
Yeah, it's a kind of a matter of time. Well,
yeah,
it's not.
yeah.
It's a matter of having time. I think and so yeah, that'll happen because I'll definitely start to have more time soonish, and then
yeah. Well, once
once they're both in full-time school, then I'll be full-time working.
yeah, that'll be nice. Get
So,
going. You can
yeah.
finish Dungeon Caddy.
That's the plan.
Yeah, yeah. And
We're,
we'll cover art for it, and it'll look awesome.
Sure.
I'm stoked for Dungeon Caddy. It looks. It sounds like fun.
I
Sounds
was-
like the idea.
Yeah, that was one of the things I was working on shaders for, but
Okay.
kind of getting some you get your when I go to Game Jam every year, Global Game Jam, I kind of get a bit of a battery recharge. I like
Right.
it kind of like it seems to boost me up, so I get like a lot more ideas and think, oh yeah, that thing that wasn't working, those problems start to get solved. I think your brain starts working on it while you're sleeping, and then you start coming up with different ideas and different ways of solving problems, and then
Well,
yeah.
Yeah, it's important for any business, whatever you're doing, to get out, like to get out of the house, get out in the
Yeah.
community, get to know your client base, get to know your customers, get to know your consumers. Spend some, like that's what conventions are great for too, right?
Yeah, I don't like
Well,
people though,
Yeah, well they don't.
but
like
I know. Okay, that's mostly why. It's
Yeah.
because I feel sad that they don't like me. But
get back on track with content for people who might actually be listening to this.
Yeah.
One of those things, you got to get out into the community, know what's happening, talk to people. And it's great. You can't work in your basement all the time and expect to, find jobs. It's a great way to, network and get jobs, but, it's good just to recharge, to get inspiration.
Yep.
Talking to people.
Well, and that's exactly why I go every year. Is for I like that the first couple of times were just huge recharge points. Like I just got
Reminds
I
you
just
why
get
you
so
do
much
what you
energy
do.
from it. Yeah. exactly. And then working with other people, and you're like, oh yeah, other
Good point.
people have brains that have ideas too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I can. That's a valuable resource.
Yeah,
But
exactly. Yeah, I find like, and even there's conventions and even things like getting like for me like getting a Spectrum a Spectrum annual. It's like, oh, let's see what other people are up to, and then you get inspired by all the cool artwork that's being made, and you know, it all combines. It all works towards producing something or getting your juices going. And when you work at home, you're self-employed. You tend to work in a vacuum, which is really difficult to stay motivated. To stay on.
sometimes, yeah, yeah, definitely. Because I tend to just like I know for me anyway, I'll spin my wheels on a problem because
Yeah,
especially my problem, look, with not having any deadlines or anything
yeah,
at the moment other than ones I self-impose, which I try to stay decent with those, but you still don't have anything like I've got no real cause to break my brain about something.
yeah, yeah,
So then I'll sit and think about it for a long time, or I'll bounce around for a long time, like way too long probably. So
yeah,
and like I say, you get out of the house, get out of your head,
yeah,
you make yourself think about other problems, and then you find that those other ones that you were just spinning on start to get solved just
yeah.
by your own subconscious just working on them and figuring them out. So
You make an interesting point about deadlines. Self-imposed deadlines. Like being able to keep a deadline is key for any working professional. And
mm,
making yourself keep a deadline it's tough, right? Like when you're
well,
self-employed,
yeah,
work from home, it's really tough to stick to make yourself do a deadline. And a lot of people I talk to, like they say that's one of the reasons why they don't work at home is because they can't keep themselves motivated.
and that was part of my reasoning behind the whole write a thing a week. Other than just practicing writing, is that I have a I have a thing to get out of my brain every week, and I have to do it. I don't have to do it. Nobody's making me do it. There's no real reason to do it. Nobody's paying me for it. But I told myself I have to do it, and so I do. And just having that sort of regularity is yeah. It's like exercise, right? It's just
Yeah, yeah,
you know it's really useful. And if I did, I should do the same thing with like make a model, like build one thing every couple days or whatever, or every day,
yeah,
and then it'd start to do the same. Because and I'm very I if I tell myself that's what I'm going to do, I kind of do it. I don't know why that is, but if I leave it and say, well, well, then I won't.
we'll get to it
So,
later. It's all good. Yeah.
yeah.
No, yeah. That's I think it's a good practice to get into.
Mm.
It's a good thing for people to do in general if they want to make a career into
Sorry about that.
employed. What?
Oh, I just big loud sound. Um, on a different note, I got a new tablet. Actually, I don't have it yet, so I'm waiting for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got a new tablet, but
Like
I
a
didn't.
Zoom kind of thing?
No, no, I got a Huion. Huion. It's a Chinese manufacturer, but they're starting to make they've been making tablets for a little while, and you know, the usual line everybody says, well, if it's not a Wacom, it's terrible, right? So I was, well, yeah, so I was never wanting to look at it. But then I, went and looked it up, and they make a tablet that is just under $100. That's every bit as good as an Intuos Pro. The only thing it's missing is tilt. And I took stock of how often I actually use the tilt. Hello? Oh, he's gone away. I was all by myself. There was nobody here.